Hello, everybody. My name is Bobby Fisher, and on behalf of Joe Brower and myself, I'd like to welcome you all to the IronCAD Make My Design Life Easy series. This is a webinar series, and I'm going to go directly to the next slide so y'all can see that. This is the series that we're running over the next few weeks. We run one webinar every 2 weeks. The first one was in setting up the scene, and that's available online. The second was 2 weeks ago. We did drag and drop design, designing with shapes. That was our second lesson. And the final today's lesson is streamlined sketching. And so, by the way, in a couple weeks, we're going to be talking about the Intellishapes. So you can look at what we're dragging and dropping in IronCAD. And finally, the integrated history-based direct edit modeling. So these are the getting started series, if you will. So today we're going to be working specifically on what we call streamlined sketching. And the combination of streamlined sketching with feature-based modeling, something that's very easy to learn and implement, and we believe it can increase your productivity 10x over competitive systems such as SolidWorks, Solid Edge, Autodesk as a mid-range, and definitely faster than the Unigraphics or PTC or CATIA design paradigms. So let's get right into the product. And for those of you who have watched my webinars before, I'm going to start really simple and we'll get more and more complex. So the easiest way for me to get into a sketch, of course, is I could go to the sketch toolbar, but I'm kind of lazy. I like to do things without hunting and pecking for things. So I like to use this extrude wizard because that's the first thing that I'm going to just create a very, 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 very simple freehand sketch for y'all. I'm just going to say, okay, this is going to be a standalone solid. And that's all I want. Just want that, and it immediately puts me into a sketch mode, and that allows me to show you something. I'm going to make my first part, and it's going to be a very simple little part. We're in part one right now. All I'm going to do is just introduce you to the tools. So here are our sketching tools, obviously polyline, 2-point line, rectangle, all sorts of different things, and we'll look at that. I'm just going to show you now, just from the beginning. I'm going to start at 0, 0, and I'm just going to drag a line. Now you're seeing, as I'm sketching, these smart snap and this information that's being given to me, whichever way I go, of course, I get to see this information. And of course, when I snap, that line is finished. If I'm still in this mode, if I wanted to do something very simple and come off here and say, okay, you know what, I want that to be exactly half an inch. I used the right mouse button instead of the left. So now I know it's exactly half. I'll do another little sketch to here, and I'm going to do another one. I'm just doing some really simple work, as you can see. And I'm not constraining anything. I'm just putting this all together. And as I'm working, that's my little sketch. And I'm not going to put any constraints in. Just as far as I'm concerned, I'm done with that. And I created my first simple. So that's just an example of concept sketching where I just used a polyline to create something. But notice I didn't need to do any constraints whatsoever. And I still have the ability to come in here and say, oh, I want to make a change to this. Even in the 3D world, I can come out and make a change. And at any point, of course, the other thing I can do is go directly back into the sketch, the original sketch that was here. And if I wish to make changes, that's something I can do right now. And I have the ability at any point to go back and make the changes either with, and that gets reflected in the 3D model. So this is not the part we're going to be making. I'm just introducing you to the concept of sketching. The first part we're actually going to make comes directly from the website, and happens to be Joe Brower's website, and very informative. This is the part that we're going to be making. The reason I'm showing this to y'all is because it gives us a great way. I want to introduce you to TechNet. These lessons, modeling techniques, are all online. What makes them kind of interesting is that there's a direct comparison with competitive products. And so you can see how we work. And I like to use what Joe's done because it gives me a great example. Joe, comes from the drafting world, and so everything that he does is very topical, and it's pretty easy to understand and see how he works. So I'm going to be following that, and I'm going to show you how we make this sketch directly. So I'm going to drop this onto a screen above me so it's not in your way. And the very first thing, this drawing that I have here, I want you all to be able to see the drawing because it helps us understand what you're looking at. So the other thing that Joe does, which I think is fantastic, is you'll see, for those of you who are interested, can actually see how this is done in another system. And I know that this particular one took about 10, 11 minutes. For us, it's about a minute worth of work. So I'm just going to show you this particular part real quick, and then we'll go from there. And let's start off with, as I said before, with a simple extrude. And with this extrude, I just want this one to be, let me take a look at my drawing. I don't think it's that thick. Hang on, Joe, I'm just looking here. It's 0.1 thick, so that's what I'm going to make, 0.1 inches. This part is in inches. I'm just going to finish that. So now we're directly in the sketch. And so the first thing that I know I need to do is create a 0.32 radius circle. So I'm coming up here, center and radius, simply left click. And here's kind of a neat trick. If I come out and I said 0.3 to get it approximately, if I right click to place it, it automatically brings up this box so I can always put in the correct value. So now I know, and what I'm going to be doing to help everybody who's watching is I'm going to be showing you this sketch. Now I need to create a line that comes directly off here. It's 0.8 and it's a horizontal line, 0.8 off that. So back into IronCAD, what do? I go and find a line that is tangent. This is kind of neat too. I just touch the circle, so it automatically is going. Notice how it's maintaining that tangency as I move around. And now I'm going to approximately get into position, and I'm going to right click again. Why? I guessed the slope correctly with the smart snap. And the length of this that we said directly from the drawing is 0.88. So now if, again, let's look at that drawing below here. There's the 0.8. So let me show you how to fix that. 0.8, and then there's another sloped line coming off it. So let's take a look. You show me something. Oh, 0.88. Well, that's not what I want. Double click. And Joe was telling me something this morning, was saying, Bobby, the neat thing is when we make mistakes, that's where it shows how easy it is to actually fix it. So we've done that, which is kind of neat. And now I'm going to come off the next one. So what's our next part? Right here, we're going to come down 45 degrees, as you can see. And I don't really know the length of this because it's bounded by a circle that's 1.3. But let's just jump right in and do a 2-point line. Check this out. Grab it here with the right mouse button, and now I'm going to come off and release with the right mouse button again. What's the slope? No, it's exactly 45. I don't know how long it is, don't really care. But now I'm guaranteed to know that that line is at 45. And when I put the next center radius circle in, just to show you all, I'm keeping you up to date on the print here too. This big circle, 1.3 located at the center of the other one, that's what we use to trim this particular thing off. So pretty easy. Come in, find center radius, pick the center radius again. If we pick that selection, it helps. And how big is it? Okay, I said 1.3, 1.3, enter. And so, well, that's pretty cool. And I also know this is by the way, has anyone seen me do any constraining yet? Not once. I don't intend to do any constraining on this. You know what? You know that I can see the part. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this part right now and move it onto a different screen so I don't need to keep jumping back and forth. All right, here's the part. I know I've got a parallel line to that, which is, I believe it's 0.8 over here. So give me a 0.8 line. 8. And did I get that? Where'd you go, little guy? Offset this line. There it is. Sorry, so there's that. And you know what? Now I can trim exactly what I need to. Oh, by the way, I don't want that. It gave me a constraint. I just said, no, I'm not going to work with constraints today, but we can if we want. Trim this away. I don't need this part, and I don't need this. Look what's happening. I'm coming through. It's automatically giving me, as I start to build this part, it's kind of neat. It's building it as we go along. So, not quite done yet. Give me another, not a 2-point, a tangent line that comes directly off here, and it's 0.7 too long. So again, touch the circle, and with a, hey, where'd you go? Wrong side. Touch the circle again here, and I want this line to go exactly how far? Well, I know that it's got to be 0.72. So 0.72. All right, that's how long that line is. And why did I do that? Because that's the location of a 0.2 millimeter circle. Oh, 0.4, thank you. Appreciate that, Joe. This is 0.2. Thank you. And this distant, hang on, you are, I don't actually like that. By the way, I didn't do that correctly. What do I care? I just, no, it's half of that. I'm going to, as I go ahead, that's where it should be. And by the way, how easy is it to extend or work with this geometry? Watch this. I just grab this line and extend it there. I'm just picking and placing. And for those of you that are watching this, I've actually finished what I need to do now. So I just trim away the geometry that's not necessary anymore. Don't need this, I don't need this, don't need that. Okay, I don't care. Don't need this one, and I don't need that either. And there, looks like I got a pretty good shape. And at this moment in time, I've done what I need to, and I'm going to say, you know what? Go ahead and finish this. And there is the first part that I created. So there, I don't go any further. This is exactly the part that I was looking. This is what I needed to do, 0.1 millimeter. Oh, just to show everybody, of course, I may have forgotten, these holes need to be put in. So let's go ahead and put in the holes so we can see that. And easiest way to do that. Now, why would I think about holes when I'm doing a sketch? Of course, if I want to be goofy about this, I could go back and say, edit this cross section and do something silly like this. And forgive me for it, Joe, I'm just going to do it and then delete it later. I could do that where I could put these holes in and have them appear in the sketch if I want. But that doesn't make sense to me because that's an enormous amount of work. And it's work that doesn't make sense to me. I make this shape, and once I've finished with the shape, now I just use the tools that are available to me, and I'm going to say, okay, drop a hole in here. How big should it be? It's 0.1. Good, but it's not actually located in the right spot. I'm looking at my drawing, and that's supposed to be over about 0.15. So I'm just going to move it where I need to move it 0.15 over. Good, that's where it's supposed to be. That's the center of that one. And by the way, there's more. There's 4 of these. So I'm just going to use the triball, and we have training on the triball. Using the right mouse button, I'm going to push this over, and I'm just pushing it over, and I want to link it over there, and I want to move it. I'm looking at the drawing, by the way. Move it over 0.3. Perfect. Love what I'm looking at. And check out this this trick to me is so special. Grab both of these holes. Bring up this wonderful triball, which helps me to manipulate geometry. Unlock the triball and say, I want this triball located where? At the middle of this point and this point. Lock it, grab the second axis and say, hey, could you please take both of these for me and create a link exactly 90 degrees of those guys? Thank you very much. And now, without really any really difficult thought process, I've got these in position and created and done. At this point, all I would need to do is say, okay, well, what do we want to call this? I'm going to be calling this is a streamlined sketch part 1. Okay, that's my first part. Save in this file. Yep, save it right there. And why not? Give me a quick drawing just so we can look at the work that we've done. This is kind of neat thing. No, I want to just pop this down like that. Perfect. That's the view I want as the front view. And I want all 4 of these. Good. Take it together. And there we go. And by the way, looking at this, if I want this to be, there's the shaded view. And any of these things, if I wish to do things like, oh dear, I noticed that they forgot I didn't put the center marks. So go ahead, put a center mark there and get all my center marks. And of course I could pick them in a box. Would I do the outside one here too, Joe? Probably not. But there you go. There are all the holes that are marked on the drawing, as you can see. And remember this, anything that happens here, oh, by the way, any dimensions we need to do, of course, everyone knows that, dimensioning is kind of boring, but here's let's do some quick dimensioning. I mean, there's a correct radii that I wanted to make sure that this line was, yes, it's 0.8. What is the distance from this point, this location to here? What are all the different distances, and you get my drift, and we can go through all the different examples of how this would work. And what happens if I don't like something that I see here? I can go back to the scene instantly. Now, do I have to edit the part? I mean, do I have to go in there and make a change to the part? Or I could do something like this. I can just pick these up and say, you know what? I'm going to make a simple change where I pick up this whole thing and I want to just move them over because I don't like where they were. Of course, that's done. And what about our original shape? Well, what if I needed this to be slightly pulled out? Yeah, 0.68, good. Without even going into the original sketch, I've made changes that will automatically be reflected, as you can see here, in the drawing. So everything that I've worked on is being captured therein. So you can see there's the idea, sketching quick and really, really easy. And what you haven't seen me do the really frightening thing, which I find in a lot of different systems, which requires me to go in and say, gosh, I need to work with a constraint system. So as I'm working, most of the systems I've worked with, I would have to figure out things like, gosh, I got to make sure that this is parallel, this is going to be parallel to this, and okay, I've got that one done, and go through the whole process. For me, it's much easier to do this concept, streamlined sketching, get it done quickly, and then of course I can add parameters later if I need to. So got the first one done. Let's look at another example of perhaps a more difficult sketch because it has a little more, flowing shapes. Okay. Another example, but I noticed instantly, this is the drawing we want to work on. I noticed that this one is in millimeters. No big deal. Pop back into IronCAD. I want a new scene. Now check this out. Give me this new scene here. And here are all the different choices. I can grab all the imperial or metric. Let's go and look at metric. What might we want to do? Go ahead, go grab the IronCAD blue just so we get a different background. And now we want to sketch. So let's do the same thing we did before. Extrude. And how thick is this one? I don't really know. I don't really care. I'll add the thickness later. All right, so now that we want to start sketching a completely different looking part, here it is. And if you'll notice, it's made up of a rectangle, 24 by 65. So 24 by 65. So what that lets me do now is that lets me use some of the automation tools that are here. So instead of just using lines, yeah, give me a rectangle. Go ahead and sketch. Right mouse button to finish the command because that lets me enter 65 by 24. Kind of neat. So there's my first shape, the first done, and I noticed that it's got a 10 by 10 chamfer. And that's something that's kind of neat for me to show you, because the thing I like about the way this sketching works is it didn't give me an angle. It gave me two lengths. The last one gave me a length and an angle. Well, this time it's just 10 by 10. So how do we handle 10 by 10? Well, let's go into our chamfering command. And what are the different choices in there? Well, I could do a distance, 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 angle. Oh, I got 10 by 10. That's what it's actually told me on each side. So the first line is here and here. There's my 10 by 10 chamfer. Now, you guys want to see a really neat trick. I'm right in the middle of sketching. I'm not, I'm in the middle of my sketch. I haven't finished it yet, but I don't care. I'm going to go in and say, I am finished. I want to make, I want to just instantly see how my sketch is doing as I'm going along. I want to see the, okay, great. Doing exactly what I want, back into the sketch. As I'm working, I can see this. Now, boy, I've got some really interesting things now as I work with this. Let's take a look. Let me bring my drawing back again. Sorry to hop back and forth. I just want you to all see it. So now let's work on the bottom. Let's start putting this. So I've got a 0.5 and a 10, this 10 millimeter radius. Well, let me go check something. So offset. How much? 10 millimeter. On which side? I don't want to constrain. From this line, oh, it shows me there's a little helper line on here. No, I don't want it on that side. Flip the direction and put it there. Beautiful. So I have a helper line over here that I'm working with. And so it's not, and I see it's a 10 millimeter radius. I'm going to do one more line just to show you all how that works. Kind of fun. Another offset line from where? From the bottom. And I said 10. Good. And notice the helper line there shows me it's in the right. Now, if I want to, I could just show you all that, well, just trim this, trim this one away and trim that away. That's the center of that radius. So how do we do it? Give me the center here. And I don't actually have to, I can just come down till it touches. Perfect. Hey, didn't need, I'm just using those lines as construction to help me put this into position, And at this stage, let me look at the next part. This is going to come up. Oh, I need to start from here because I can see that it's got some geometry that needs to blend in here. So let me start from this other side and make sure I can start working my way down along here. So 17, and then I'm going to have another chamfer. So, all right, I'll put this above the screen so I can just continue to work. So what am I doing? Do I need that? I don't need you. You go away. That was just the center of that. Now I need a 17 line, so offset from the lower. And oh, I see you're there. Thank you. You're already on the right side, which is telling me that's great and excellent. So that's where this top is going to start, right there. And I'm looking forward to that. Yep, that's exactly what I want. And then there's an 8. So give me one more of those, another offset line from the bottom. And I'm sorry that you're seeing this. That's going to be 8 millimeters. And that's the one I want there. And of course, that's the trim that I'm going to need. I don't need, and I also need a chamfer right there. So let's just see if it can do that for me. The chamfer is 5 by 5 on the drawing, 5 millimeters, 5 millimeters. And once I've done it, this and this, there, that's the, see, because I'm going to come from the top here and come along into this line. So it's given me that, and it says and I'm drawing now, as you can see, coming around here and match this bottom. All right, so that'll be cool. By the way, I don't need you. Trim one more. You're kind of in my way. Very nice. Excellent. This comes off, down, good. I don't need that. I'm just getting rid of this extra geometry so it doesn't confuse me. All right. And I'm going to have an offset line coming off the front. By the way, I'm just taking this directly from the print. And let me just make sure. There it is. And what that's doing me, that line automatically shows me where there's going to be an angle line. And notice this time I just dragged it there. Why? It's just into the location because that's where the next line comes up. It's just a 2-point line that starts here. And where does it go? All I know is that it's 15 degrees. I don't really know the length or anything like that. I'm just going to take it out there. What is it? Well, it's 180 degrees minus 15 because that's what, and I don't know the length, so I do that automatic. And not hard for me to just enter what's here on the drawing. And the last thing that I would need to do, okay, we've got this. Do I need you at all? No. Oh, there we go. And now I just need to blend these two lines. So it looks like two tangents and a point here. Look at all these choices for radii. Two tangents. It's going to be tangent here. It's going to be tangent here. And what's the point? I don't know. I just know that it's got a radius of 14. I say great. And check out what's happened now. So the trimming, not once have I had to think about a constraint. Not once have I actually had to use constraints at all. And you know, if I want to be expeditious with this, excellent. I need to now do one more big circle, and we're almost done, by the way. If you take a look at what I'm working on immediately at this point, I don't need you out here either. So you can see where we're finished, almost done. We need to do the top. I want to bring this in so you can all see it last time. So you can see that we've let the system calculate all the underneath. Now here's the top. There's a 15 millimeter radius that's 50 mil off the front of the part. No big deal. Not once have I had to put it in a constraint. Give me an offset from here. And what is that offset? What did I say it was? 50 mil off the front face. And drag it up just like that. And I don't even need to know. Keep that straight. That was 50. And so, what is that again? Oh, I know how it is up there. Sorry. I need to use my brain a little bit. So from this line, it's going to be 15 mil up. Oop, wrong way. Undo that. Sorry. Do it again from the top here. See how it shows me down here? I should have paid attention and flipped it the other way and said that's where I want it. Okay, so there's the center of this circle. Easy enough. And by the way, don't have to use any of the tools if I don't want to. I can just drag these back like that. It's kind of neat. And I'm just using this to create some very simple geometry. From here, I need this to be tangent, just like that. And that's what's now going to blend down. So kind of easy. And I'm going to just use trimming. Don't need any of these different things. And you get rid of them. Don't need this. Don't need that. Don't need this. See what I'm doing? I'm just cleaning this up now. So I end up with the actual shape that I need, which is this shape. Just like that. And there's the and all these extra parts. Now, you'll notice that this hasn't been blended yet. And why not? Well, I don't really need to blend. Oops. Edit this. Let me just make sure. Hey. This is where I can use find a gap. Where? Oh, there are no gaps. So, there are lines there? Where? Do I have extra lines? Ah, you're right. I put in a bunch of extra lines. Is that what's going on, Joe? Yeah. No. Let me see. Oh,
yeah, just window those and they'll disappear.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, you just you didn't trim, missed a trim. They're done now. You can tell by the red line, the red dots aren't there.
Is that what it is? Okay, thank you.
The red dots, that means that it's not a good like IronCAD, like any other one. If you don't do a correct sketch, it'll show you the extraneous.
Right. Now, what was kind of neat about what we did here, Joe, and I appreciate this example because it's not entirely simple. What I left out this 10 millimeter fillet here, and the reason I deliberately left it out was because, well, I have the ability now to go in and just say, well, I don't care, just blend this, but not the whole face. Blend just this little edge right there and make it 10 mil. So I can go in after the fact and add that kind of thing. And we could do other things here too that are kind of, I think, really exciting. What if this were a plastic part? Or what if I wanted to make changes without going into the sketch? I don't know if you all know this, but for example, I can pick directly on this face and say, well, wait a second, what is that radius? And it'll come back and say, Bobby, that's a 14. Oh, no, I want it to be 15. And of course, now I've gone in and made that change without actually touching the, and it's made the change for me. No, don't feel like doing that. I'll leave it the way it was. And I could go in and change it that. But let's do one more thing before we're finished with this. Let's come in and say, well, we want this to be a plastic part. So we might as well come in here and say, well, what if we draft this and put draft? It's kind of neat. And 5 degrees. Well, what about if I draft this? Oh, cool. Now, as you can see, I'm picking these faces and they're all drafting out 5 degrees. And of course, I'm using 5 to show you that it's a lot more as I do this, as I walk my way around this. I could have picked that in a box. And I say, great. And now it's drafted everything out 5 degrees. What about this idea? What if I come in and were to say, shell the part, because I want it to be plastic, open up the bottom face, and give me a 0.5 millimeter wall thickness. And now I've got a shelled part without it. And, the last thing I would do is say, well, what if, because it's plastic, what if this has, a 0.5 millimeter fillet on it? And what if I also wanted that fillet to be on each one of these sharp edges? Because it's a plastic part. So, I want to make sure wherever I have a sharp edge, I'm now changing that. And again, I know this is on sketching, but I want to show you some of the power of IronCAD as well. So there you go. I've added all those rounded corners, but I have a bit of a problem. Look at the inside. Look what's happened here. Because I did the shelling before the blend, the inside it's not following the same thickness. So all I do is I'll come over here to the history, pick up the shelling, and put it after the blend. Watch this. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, of course, my silly. Well, the blend was only, I'll go back here, edit that, and make it a little bit bigger. You're right, 1. Do that. And now, by the way, it looked like this before. So as you can see, as I zoom in on this area, you can see that it didn't capture that because the shelling happened before the blending. Well, we just pick it up and say, no, shell afterwards, and now it's fixed. And there's our little plastic part that we could take apart, do core cavity, and all the wonderful things. Let's actually just name this Streamlined Sketch Plastic part. Okay? And once we've done that, quick save of the file. Sure. Takes my name. Good. Part saved. And we'd like to do a very quick drawing of this. All right, here we go. Nope, I want to look at this from the top here, right front, bang, and put it out on a drawing. And there you see, really without a lot of bother, we've got, a streamlined sketch part all the way through into where we're putting it on a drawing, and we could separate and do whatever we need to do. So far, just so we understand, we started out with a very simple part, created that, and then created drawing of that. Then we created a more yeah, go ahead. I made some changes. Of course, I moved these holes over. And then a more complex part where we did some sketching in here, and did some drafting and changed it, and then made a drawing of it. One last thing I want to show y'all. One last thing, which is I think really, really neat about IronCAD in the sketching. We all know that we can drag and drop parts, but did you know, for example, I can come in here and I just drag this out. This is a simple extruded prismatic shape. But what you may not know is that that simple prismatic shape is actually driven from a cross section. So at any time I can go into the product and I can change the underlying cross section, as you can see I'm doing here, or I can even do this type of thing where I say, you know what, I want to add something like this that you watched me do before, and I'm just going to just change this shape entirely. And maybe, you know what, I want two of these. I'm going to do another one, another center radius over here, and maybe this one is going to bob out a little bit. So this is kind of a neat idea that I'm showing you, that we're changing the structure entirely of this part, and now that's what we started with, and that's what we end with. And so it's important to know that this started life as an IntelliShape. IntelliShapes can be grown in the way that they have handles. So I'm actually sizing this according. There's one last thing that I do want to show you, which is quite fascinating, and that is, what if I now come in and say, let's drive a hole. This one's a bit big. Let's 0.75. And I want this hole, no matter what, to go all the way through the part. So no matter what I do, it will always go through this part. What does that, and the last, just for fun, I want to show you something interesting about our IntelliShapes. I'm going to say everywhere that you intersect, I want to have a, I don't know, 0.5. Can it do that? Oh, that's too big. Oh. Let's take that. What I'm looking at, the bevel, the blend, make it point. Good, that's better. So I put in a tiny little blend there, so you can see what I'm doing. I'm switching between. I forgot that I was in inches. Let me do that bevel one more time, just so I can get it correctly. 50 thou. I forgot that I was in inches. So what you'll see is that no matter where I move this, or no matter how this shape changes now, if I go back into the original shape and edit the original cross section, there's the cross section I have. If I come back and, oh, I want this one, no, make that much smaller, like that. Okay, I like that. That's a lot better. And now jump up out of it. Look what happens. Everything will update automatically. Any of these changes that I make, there's some real power here. As I'm moving this through, it will cut through in different places. So I just wanted to make sure that everyone understood that as we are working with parts in this product, we are always, we have the ability to go in and sketch. So that's what I wanted to show you today. Geometry in this product has drag and drop, which is what we've shown in a previous, sketching, and direct edit. We have a number of these webinars that are available to you. Feature modeling, assembly, drag and drop modeling, how to do cut and paste modeling. These are the webinars that are available. Your IronCAD team, there are more than 255,000 users worldwide, 20 years of CAD leadership, and 165 international resellers. We are happy to help prove IronCAD to you. We'll help you with the implementation. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to take those now. Let me just take a look at this. Thank you, Joe. I can see that. If there's any comments that people, if there are things that you want to see, we're thinking about actually opening up a really interesting, where we're going to be calling it a corner, where we can actually just show people the different types of parts that you can make with IronCAD. and just like an open session on the weeks that we're not running. And so this open free training every Thursday. And if you're interested in that, let Joe or myself know, or Igor. And hi, Igor. Nice that you're here. I can see you. I'd like to thank everybody very much. It was a real pleasure, and I look forward to seeing you next time. So, ciao, my friends.